Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly devastating tale of fate, ruin, and profound loyalty from the ancient Indian epic, the Mahabharata. It's a look at a royal downfall that's honestly just as psychologically complex as it is tragic. I want you to imagine, just for a second, losing your entire kingdom, and not in some massive war, but in a simple game of dice. You go from having absolute power to descending into total destitution in literally a matter of days. How would you survive? How would your relationship survive? Well, that is exactly the premise of the story we're examining today.
All right, let's get into Section 1, the fatal dice game.
This wasn't some slow decline. It's a rapid, cascading loss of power. Nala, who was the once virtuous king of the Nishadas, loses everything in a dice game to his rival Pushkara. First goes the kingdom, then the wealth, until there is absolutely nothing left. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer cruelty of his rival. Pushkara laughingly taunts Nala, saying, "Damayanti only remaineth, all else hath been won by me." Since all the wealth is gone, Pushkara actually suggests Nala stake his own wife. It's a highly calculated insult, designed to break him completely. So the crucial point here is how Nala reacts. The text tells us Nala feels as if his heart will burst with rage, but he remains completely silent. He doesn't speak a single word to Pushkara. Instead, right in front of everyone, he strips off all his royal ornaments from every part of his body, renouncing the whole shebang. He walks out of the palace wearing just a single piece of cloth, with his wife Damayanti following closely behind him, dressed the exact same way. Moving on to Section 2, Exile and Starvation. For 3 agonizing nights, the royal couple stays on the very outskirts of their own city. They're entirely unregarded, surviving on water alone. Imagine the whiplash of ruling a city one day and sleeping in its dirt the very next. Now, you might be wondering, why doesn't anyone help them? Well, Pushkara issues this brutal decree. Anyone who shows hospitality or attention to Nala will be doomed to death. Out of pure terror, the citizens completely shun their former king, forcing Nala and Damayanti to wander away, afflicted with hunger, searching for fruits and roots out in the wilderness. Which brings us to Section 3, the golden birds. After days of agony in the woods, Nala suddenly spots what looks like a miracle: birds with stunning golden plumage. Thinking this is both a banquet and a return to wealth, he takes a desperate gamble. He takes off his single remaining piece of cloth and throws it over the birds to trap them. But the birds just fly straight up into the sky, carrying his only garment right along with them. And looking down at a now completely nude and melancholy Nala, the birds actually speak. They say, "O thou of small sense, we are even those dice." It's a devastating personification of fate. The birds reveal that they are actually the very dice that ruined him in the first place, coming back in disguise just because they didn't want him to even have the dignity of a single cloth. Let's dive into Section 4, the ultimate crossroads. So, stripped of his last physical possession, Nala reaches absolute rock bottom. Naked, grieving, and pretty frantic, he starts geographically mapping out escape routes south for Damayanti. He points out the Vindhya Mountains, the river Pais Sweeney, the asylums of ascetics, and the roads leading to Avanti, the Kosalas, and finally, Vidarbha. He's doing this because he's desperate to save her from his own misery. He tells her over and over again to take the road to her relatives in Vidarbha. He's really trying to push her away, believing that his total failure as a provider and protector means she has to abandon him if she's going to survive. This leads us to Section 5, a wife's devotion. Choked with tears, Damayanti flat out refuses to leave him to the woods and the hunger. She insists that when he feels the pain of their reality, she will soothe his weariness. She even quotes the physicians, saying that in times of utter sorrow, there is no medicine, no physic, as the text calls it, equal to a wife. We're looking at an incredible contrast in logic here. Nala wants to sacrifice himself, severing their bond to guarantee her physical safety in Vidarbha. But Damayanti counters him. She insists that emotional and spiritual survival requires them to face this destitution as one united front. Separation, to her, is a much worse fate than starvation. Nala listens to her and actually concedes. He admits his mind is deeply distracted by his grief.
He completely validates her role as his greatest friend and medicine in distress, promising her, "I can forsake myself, but thee I cannot forsake." But Damayanti is sharp, and she logically challenges him right back. She asks, "If you truly intend to stay with me, why do you keep repeatedly pointing out the way to my relative's kingdom? Every time you point down that road," she says, "you just enhance my grief, because it shows your mind is still kind of considering deserting me."
So, instead of splitting up, she offers a final conclusion. If Nala's intention is for her to be safe with her relatives, then they should go together to the king of the Vidarbhas. She assures him that her family will receive him with total respect, and honored by them, they can live happily again in her home.
This ancient text gives us so much to chew on regarding the nature of partnership in the darkest of times. Which brings us to a final thought for this explainer. When fate strips you of absolutely everything, your status, your wealth, even the clothes on your back, is unwavering devotion the true cure for our deepest ruin, or is it just a noble agreement to share in this suffering? It's a really heavy question, and one the Mahabharata leaves us pondering long after the dice have fallen. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep questioning.